Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar, more of an informational session around the awards from the School Library Association. So I'm just going to take you through them. If you've got any questions, I have got the chat box open, so pop them in the chat. I will try and answer them as we go through. I'm just going to start with doing an overview of the awards that the SLA runs. Then we'll look at each of them in more detail along with the process. And then we'll deal with some myth busting and some kind of generic things that apply to all of the awards at the end. So here's hoping. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we do run quite a few awards, and that is because you guys are amazing and deserve to be celebrated. So we've got our longest running award, the School Librarian of the Year, which is open to middle schools and secondary schools. We've got our Primary School Library of the Year, which is open to primary schools and middle schools. We've got the Enterprise of the Year, which celebrates one-off projects. So things like running a reading week, doing an information literacy or research project, tackling a problem in your school, whether that's perhaps to do with well-being or a particular issue of another kind. Transition projects would also fall into the Enterprise of the Year category. We've then got the Community Award, which celebrates any project or ongoing work that involves, that works beyond the kind of the school gates. So anything that involves working with your school's library service, booksellers, anything where there's multiple schools coming together, running a reading festival, anything like that would fall into that kind of community award. So working with your wider school community. We've then also got the Information Book Award, which is for publishers, and they can nominate their information books from the year. And then we've got the Pupil Library Assistant Award, which has previously only been open to secondary schools, but this year will be open to primary schools as well. And that is an award that we run with SLA SLG. So those are the awards overall. And there is a process, and the processes do vary dependent on the awards. Now, for these, I'm not going to be talking about the Pupil Library Assistant Award. The nomination process for that is separate, and you can see all of that information on the website, although I'm very happy to take questions about that. And I'm also not going to be discussing the Information Book Award because that's a completely separate project award even for the publishers. So thinking about our Secondary School Librarian of the Year award, there is a nomination form that kicks everything off, and then dependent on entries, there's long list, short list, and then we do visit everyone on the SLYA short list before deciding on an honour list. And I say we, but I think it's really important that everyone understands that I and none of the office team are involved with any of the selection process. So we don't get involved with that side of things at all. We do the admin and some of the organisation stuff, but the selection process is completely separate. So everyone on the Secondary School Librarian of the Year award is visited before the honour list decisions are made, because it is our longest running award. It's the one that we normally get the most nominations for, and so that extra step is vital in understanding the atmosphere and the culture of the school library. For the other awards, so the Primary School Library of the Year, the Community Award and Enterprise Award, there is again a nomination form that kicks things off, and then there's a shortlist, and from that the final decisions around the finalists are made. We may come back to different nominations and ask for more information if that is required, but that process does tend to be a bit shorter at the moment. Now, there are quite a few common misunderstandings about the nomination form, and we have also this year tried to make it slightly easier for everyone. So the nomination form can be put together by just you, by just the school. What we would recommend is that you do it together. I have been through this process from pretty much every perspective, I think now. I was on the honour list for School Librarian of the Year in 2018. I should know that. I was then a judge after that, and now doing this, I see the other side of things. So in terms of the nomination, we really recommend that you put it together. I remember doing mine and talking to my person who wanted to nominate me, and they thought it was a great idea if they put that I did book lists. And I was like, that's a pretty standard bit of school librarian work, so let's put something else. So you need that combination of your knowledge over what makes the sector kind of tick. And also it is nice to have that understanding from the school of what they treasure about you and what you do. But absolutely, you can do it yourself. You do need to have someone nominate you just to kind of sign it off. And you do need permission from the senior leadership team. Now, this doesn't not have to be the head teacher. It can be anyone on the senior leadership team. And that's a change that we have made for this year to try and open it up and make things a bit easier. There is no entry fee to take part in any of our awards. So there isn't, there's no barrier there to you kind of getting involved. The nominator doesn't have to be someone in your school. It could be a colleague that you talk to, someone that you network with, someone in your local area, just someone whose work you've seen and you think is amazing. So really feel free to kind of have those discussions with your school library colleagues. The nomination form is 200 words across multiple sections. If the section doesn't apply to you, don't be put off by that. It's always the case. So just explain why that section doesn't apply. We have had secondary school librarians, SLA winners in the past who have done no information literacy. We ask about that on the nomination form because we want to understand the context, but not doing something in a particular area doesn't stop you from kind of entering, and certainly won't stop you from winning. We do want to see impact. And sometimes, again, that can feel quite scary and a little bit off-putting. But all we mean by impact is what's the consequence of what you've done. So absolutely fantastic if you say that you did some library promotion by doing a newsletter to parents. We definitely want to know about that. If you got any response from that or it started any conversations, also include that next bit of information, because it really helps us to kind of understand what you are doing in your school. So we're just going to look at the awards more specifically. So Secondary School Librarian of the Year. The nomination form is quite brief. It asks about the sections on your screen. I'm not going to read them out to you. So it is 200 words maximum in each of those sections, and you can include some pictures if you want to. And as I've mentioned, the nominee can be any member of school staff or a school library colleague. So for our primary school library of the year, the form is slightly longer because we want to understand more about the space. And again, if there is any section that doesn't apply, just leave it, explain why it doesn't apply. And the nominee can be any member of school staff. So it doesn't matter what your job title is, it doesn't matter what hours you spend in the library, any of that stuff. Anyone can be the nominee. So the Community Award asks these questions so that we can understand the nature of the work that you do. The entries we get in for this award are hugely varied. This year we had an amazing project that made it to the finalists who were doing work with elderly care in their local community. We also had a reading festival that involved multiple schools. We've previously had schools library services, lots of their work nominated. I think half of the finalists last year came from schools library services. So it's a great opportunity to highlight any work that you do with them. And nominees can be anyone from any of the projects. So these aren't kind of full lists of people who can nominate, but if you've got any questions, just let us know. And then the School Library Association Enterprise of the Year asks you these. So again, this is just the nomination form so that we can understand the one-off project. Again, they vary quite significantly, but it's about a one-off project. So something that you're doing, and you can do it each year, but it shouldn't be kind of continuous work across the year. So something like a transition project would fit really nicely. We've had research projects, we've had refurbishments, we've had new school libraries being built, but it is about the context. So it is, the decisions on these are, it's not coming down to actually comparing each project. It's about what is the impact of that project. And what's the future of that project. So for all of the awards, all the nominations forms are anonymised when they come to us in the office. They then go to a selection panel or judging panel who look at the anonymised versions. So we take out anything to do with where in the country you're based, what your school is, whether it's whether you're involved in particular kind of named additional things. We leave in information about the school and the school's context, because different schools will be able to do different things, and it's important that that is understood. The judges or the selection panel have come from the sector. So they are school librarians, work in school library services, or have been teachers. So they are people who understand the demands that you're under and can really take that kind of extra kind of mental step of seeing what the impact is and understanding where things have come from. We go into this looking for opportunities to celebrate the school library sector and the work that you are doing. So there is no judgment at all. It is very much about what is here that is exciting and that we can shout about. So sometimes it can feel a bit kind of icky to put yourself forward for these things. But know that we are going into it just wanting to celebrate what is happening in the sector. It is a bit of work. I'm not gonna lie about that. You've got to sit down and think about what you do and what impact it has, and then put it into the nomination form. But it is a chance to reflect on what you do, on the impact that you have. it is also a chance to kind of quantify what you do. And it can be really useful to have those discussions to try and help more people understand the impact of what you do and the range of what you do. There is someone on the honour list for Secondary School Librarian of the Year in 2023, who said that actually it really helped more colleagues in school understand her role, because they all saw the variety of what she was doing for the first time, rather than just seeing the little bits that you work directly with someone. And then, as I've mentioned, if there is a section on the nomination form which doesn't apply to you, don't worry about that. Just tell us why. So that we can understand your context, because all schools are different. We are all working to different school priorities and different, within different boundaries. So the more we understand those, the more understanding we'll have of your application. So, myth busting. I love some of these. So some of this feedback has come from the member survey, where we put out and we asked you what you thought about our awards. Some of them have come from other kind of conversations we've had or emails we've had in, but I really wanted to take an opportunity just to break some of these things down. So the first one is that you need to be qualified. You do not need to be a qualified school librarian in order to apply for our awards. You need to be engaged. You need to be passionate. You do not need to be qualified. So hopefully that's that one dealt with. There is a lot of feeling that you have to work in a school with a really big budget and lots of support from your head teacher. And I absolutely understand that. And I can see why it feels like that. I think sometimes part of the difficulty is that we have had winners since I've been CEO who haven't had those situations apply to them. And obviously we want everyone to know that, but we can't exactly go, hey, this person gets no support from their head teacher whatsoever. The school would not sign off on that comms or that messaging, nor would it sign off on us highlighting how little their school librarian's budget is. So just because you don't know those facts doesn't mean that they don't exist. So if you are working in a school which is working with a limited budget or working with limited support, it is not impossible for you to make it all the way to be, a winner in these. And all of the judging is done on the context. So, it's about the impact that you have in relation to the resources you have to do it with. We have had people think that middle schools can't apply for either of the school library or school librarian of the year awards, and they can actually apply for either. So if you are working in a middle school, have a look at both, see which one you think fits best. If we have a look at it and we think that you would fit better in a different category, and this is the same actually with the Enterprise of the Year and the Community Award. If you put a nomination in for one and we think that you fit better in the other, we will get back in touch with you and say, actually, do you want to shift into that category? So we will do what we can to give you the best chance of making it through. I haven't been doing it long enough. I haven't been doing it for 10 years, 20 years. It's not about the length of time that you have been doing the job. It is about all the other elements that you bring to your school library. We do get people who apply and don't make it to the latter stages. That is how the process works. Unfortunately, we can't absolutely celebrate everyone who puts themselves forward, but you can absolutely apply again. And if you don't make it through to one of the stages, we will kind of help you understand why that is. This is, on just how these things work. The more you understand about the process, the stronger your application will be. So if you've got any questions, do let us know. And if you have applied, you can always do it again. As I've said, all of the nominations are anonymised, so no one will know. The only caveat to that is that we do say that if you make it to the honour list, we ask you to then not apply it for the same award again. So just to put that there. And then finally, I don't want to put myself in the spotlight. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that this isn't putting yourself in the spotlight. It absolutely is to some degree. But what is more important is the spotlight that it enables us to put on the sector. So you are kind of pulling the light to shine on everyone, all of your colleagues and everything kind of that happens in the sector. And we do need people to do that. It can feel icky and awkward, and I really genuinely do understand that, but the importance of these awards to helping people understand the depth and breadth of work that's happening in school libraries is really important. Someone has just asked if you can apply for more than one category. You absolutely can. So if you are doing really something with your SLS, and you also want to go for the School Library of the Year, you can absolutely do both. We haven't had that situation to date, but absolutely do both, and then we can see how it moves forwards. And then I thought it was just worth looking at why you might want to take part. I've said that it might feel a bit icky. I've said that it might be a bit of work, but that it really is worth it. For me, having been through the process, I found it incredibly rewarding. And I found it really helped my reflection and my colleagues' understanding of my role. It really prompted me to take on new challenges, and I partially blame it for ending up in the role that I'm in now. But I think what I appreciated most was the opportunities that were then kind of provided to me to talk about school libraries, to talk about what I did in my school library and why it was important. So you can make the most of those opportunities. I do only have one more slide. So if you've got any questions, now is the time. I will just move on to that slide. So what next? So all the nomination forms are up on the website. So you can have a look at the website, have a look at the different awards, see which one might fit with something that you're doing. If you've got any questions at all, let us know. You can nominate yourself. You can also nominate a colleague. So if you've got someone who inspires you, either fill out the nomination form on their behalf and then send it to them and go, you should enter this and this is why, or have that conversation in school. The awards are open to everyone, so you do not have to be a member of the School Library Association. It is, for the benefit of the sector. So we do keep them open, we do keep them free. So do put yourself or someone else forward. The deadline for this year is Friday the 1st of December. So you've got a fair amount of time to get everything together. We, as always, are here over the summer. So if you've got any questions, if you want to start thinking about things now or in September, then just let us know. But thank you so much for coming this afternoon.